Okay guys, so we're looking at our homework for tonight. It's S13, numbers 1 and 2 of Lesson 2, Module 6. So Lesson 2, Module 6, numbers 1, and then down here we have numbers 2, and it's page S13. So your stamp sheet should reflect that. So lesson summary, when a linear function is given by the equation of a line of the form y equals mx plus b, the rate of change is m, and the initial value is b. Both are easy to identify. So basically all that's saying is when we have y equals mx plus b, which we know if we were to graph would be a line on a graph. So here's our graph, here's our y-axis and our x-axis, and here's our line. It's saying that the rate of change, which is also the slope, which is m, and the initial value b, so that's our constant, that's our starting point, are easy to identify. So remember the rate of change is the slope. So when you're thinking of a graph and a line, remember slope is your m, b is your constant. So the rate of change of a linear function is the slope of the line it represents. That's what I just explained. It is the change in the values of y per 1 unit increase in the values of x. So thinking back to functions, what we input here for our x changes our y. Remember when we have tables? Whatever we put in here for our x changes our y's when we plug it into this formula. So we're talking about two different concepts. We're talking about slope and the constant of b. And then we're talking about our inputs and our outputs. Lots of stuff. That's why it's so important that you know y equals mx plus b and what it represents. So a positive rate of change indicates that a linear function is increasing. That makes sense. So a positive rate of change, which is the rate of change is the slope, a positive slope means it's increasing. A negative rate of change indicates that a linear function is decreasing. So if our slope went like this one right here, it would be decreasing. Okay? So let's look at number 1. A rental car company offers the following two pricing methods for its customers to choose from for a 1-month rental. So we're talking about renting a car. So when you go on vacation, maybe your parents rent a car because you flew there and you don't have a car to drive. So there's two different options. You have method 1, which is to pay $400 for the month, or method 2, which is to pay 30 cents per mile plus a standard maintenance fee of $35. Construct a linear function that models the relationship between the miles driven and the total rental cost for method 2. Let x represent the number of miles driven and y represent the rental cost. So let's look at this. It wants us to construct a linear function that models the relationship between the miles driven and the total rental cost for method 2. Let x represent the number of miles driven and y represent the rental cost. So when we look at y equals mx plus b, it's telling us let x be the number of miles driven and y represent the rental cost. And we don't know how many miles they've driven, which is going to be our rate of change or our slope, and we don't know the total cost until we determine that. So when we look at this, our linear function, y equals mx plus b, and we're looking at method 2, it tells us right here, method 2, we know that it's 30 cents per mile and a standard maintenance fee of $35. So I'm going to give you just a second to think about that. Think of, in method 2, what's your constant, and then what's going to change depending on the mile. Go ahead and write down what you think it is. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Okay, hopefully you wrote it down so you can compare and check your work against mine. So we don't know the total cost. So my total cost, which is y, just needs to be y because we don't know it. And then our slope, our m, the thing that's changing is going to be our 30 cents per mile here, because every mile, which is our X, is going to go up, or as our miles go up, this is going to increase. So it should look something like this. And then our B, our $35 is our maintenance fee. That should be what your linear function looks like for A. Okay, and then if it said, you know, hey, you're going to drive 100 miles, you would plug in 100 right here for X to determine the total cost. But you know you're paying $35 regardless, in addition to the cost per mile. Okay, oh, looky here. If you plan to drive 1,100 miles, 1,100 miles for the month, which method would you choose? So what we need to do is plug in 1,100 for our miles plus the 35 to determine if that's more or less than the $400 per month. So let's do that. Y equals 0.30 times 1,100 plus 35. Okay, I am going to give you just a second to solve that. You're going to first multiply 30 cents times 1,100. Try to do it on your own. If you can't do it on your own, grab a calculator. Okay, I'm going to give you just a second to do that. Okay, so I'm going to solve that out, and I know I'm multiplying, so I'm just going to write a multiplication problem. I'm going to do it right here so you can see it. 1,100 times 0.30. Okay, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 0 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0, 0 times 1 is 0, 0 placeholder on my second one, 3 times 0 is 0, 3 times 0 is 0, be careful with your zeros, 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, add up everything. Lots of zeros. Okay, and then I have 2 decimal places here. So I need to add 2 here. I start here, go 1, 2. So if you look, I end up with $330. So I have $330 plus that $35 maintenance fee that they told us about, which is right there. So Y equals 330 plus 35. So Y equals, so our total cost on method 2, if we drove 1,100 miles, is $365. So, which would you choose? It wants to know, would you pay $400 a month, or would you pay $365 a month? Well, you guys, unless you're made of money and you have a money tree in your backyard, you're going to want to spend less, always. So, you would want to do method 2, $365. Method 2. $365. No brainer. Okay, I'm going to see how far I can get on number 2 before our time is up. So this one says, recall from a previous lesson that Kelly wants to add new music to her MP3 player. She was interested in a monthly subscription site that offered its MP3 downloading service for a monthly subscription fee plus a fee per song. The linear function that modeled the total monthly cost in dollars based on the number of songs downloaded X is Y equals $5.25 plus 30 times X. So it's saying she's going to pay $5.25 per month, a subscription fee, but then every song she downloads is going to be 30 cents. So when we determine how many songs she downloads, we can then multiply that by 30 cents, add the $5.25 to get our total cost. So let's see what it's asking us to do. The site has suddenly changed its monthly price structure. The linear function that models the new total monthly cost in dollars Y based on the number of songs downloaded X is Y equals 35 cents plus $4.50. So basically, now their monthly fee is $4.50, which went down, so that's exciting, but then they're charging 35 cents per song instead of 30 cents per song. Explain the meaning of the value for $4.50 in the new equation. Is this a better situation for Kelly than before? Oh, I just explained that. Pretty much the monthly fee went down. So you need to restate and answer in your own question. I would do it right down here, write A, and then write a complete sentence, which means you should have a capitalized letter and punctuation at the end. Okay, B, explain the meaning of the value 35 cents and the new equation. Is this a better situation for Kelly than before? Okay, so you're looking at 35 cents. So instead of 30 cents per song, it's now 35 cents per song. So I want you to write B down here. So A, and then a complete sentence, and then B, I want you to write a complete sentence. The meaning of the value 35 cents in the new equation is the blah, 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 blah. Just talked about it. Okay, so I want you to write a complete sentence, capitalized letter, punctuation at the end. If you were to graph the two equations, old versus new, which line would have the steeper slope? What does this mean in the context of the problem? I'm going to give you just a second to think about that. Think about what you know about slope, and looking at these two equations, what would be our slope? Okay, so C, when you're looking at these two slopes, and your old one, it's 30 cents is your slope. Your new one, it's 35 cents. So the slope of the new line is going to be steeper because the new linear function has a greater rate of change. This is a greater slope. It's higher. 35 cents is higher than 30, so it's going to be steeper. So it basically means that the total monthly cost of the new plan is increasing at a faster rate per song compared to the cost of the old plan. Okay, so let's look at D. Which subscription plan provides the better value if Kelly downloads fewer than 15 songs per month? Okay, so if Kelly were to download 15 songs, both plans would cost the same. And all I did was plug 15 in for X. So I want to see those equations worked out down here. Therefore, the new plan is cheaper if Kelly downloads fewer than 15 songs. Okay, guys, that's it. You should do A, B, C, D. You should have complete sentences there. Thanks.